Hello hop lovers and welcome to another edition of What Even Is, and this week with a little note of cynicism, maybe passive aggressiveness, we're asking what even is IPA? So I feel like we need to start with a tiny bit of history about what the actual IPA is, so we have some context, and then we'll start confusing everybody and ourselves. So the IPA was invented probably in the 19th century. It was just a pale ale, basically. We'd had pale ales for a little while that was heavily dry hopped because hops are a preservative, which meant that we could send these pale ales that had been heavily dry hopped over to the colonies, back when we were complete bastards. So it was going out to all the people colonising these nations, and hoppiness meant it survived the journey. Strength wasn't really an issue. We had stronger beers at home. It was all about the hops.
Right, okay, so it has to be, the criteria, has to be an ale.
Yeah.
It has to be hop forward.
Yeah.
Has to be relatively clean.
Yeah, modern wise, yeah. Back then, we don't know. They'd have wanted it clean, but yeah, clean fermented.
What other aspects are we talking?
Well, I mean, that's kind of it. Dry. Probably
Dry
fermented
as well.
real dry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So what then? What are all of these, Johnny?
Yeah. So let's dive into the fact that meaning is pretty much lost at this point.
Yeah.
So what we've got here are the two that you might know at home and everybody kind of knows, which is we've got the West Coast IPA.
The one that started it all?
Exactly, yeah. So we had the British IPA, sorry, the English IPA, we would have called it, which is English hops, dry, the kind of stuff that we would have sent over there, but clean. You know, we can make sure we have clean ferments now. Then the Americans came along and threw American hops in. That's what the West Coast is.
They did an American number on it. They made it better, didn't they?
Better, bigger, bolder.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we have the New England IPA, which came along in the early 2000s and has morphed ever since. And that's juicier, less dry, still American hops, and it's hazy as hell. So this is what I thought IPA was. Probably what you think IPA is. Probably what you think IPA is.
Yeah.
But then we've got 6 other beers on this table. Our table is literally full of other kinds of IPA. So we've got the Rye IPA, the Sour IPA, the Black IPA, the Belgian IPA, the Red IPA, the Triple IPA, which I put there to talk about strength. So you've got Triple IPA, actually Quadruple IPA does exist, Double IPA, Single IPA, Session IPA, Micro IPA, Low Alcohol IPA. We've then got other styles of IPA that aren't even on this full table.
Yes.
Brut IPA.
Brut IPA.
I haven't included that because no one makes them anymore.
Yeah.
Because they sucked.
English IPA.
English IPA, obviously, was the origin. We've got a new kind of IPA coming out, which is cold IPA. We've got to the point where we don't know what IPA is.
Yeah.
So I thought we could try some, see if there are any threads
Yeah.
between these very different beers.
Where do we start? Because this is such a wild gamut of different flavours that I don't know what to do. What's not going to blow our palate straight away?
Oh, I was going to go the other way. I was going to be like,
big.
What's the furthest away from IPA we could go?
Let's do it. Let's go big. Go big or go home, Johnny.
So why don't we start with the Sour IPA? So this is from Hudson Valley. We did a hype train about Hudson. They get a lot of love.
Yeah.
And they make heavily adjuncted, soured, and then back sweetened with lactose IPAs. Sorry, then I should say beers. Whether they're IPAs, the jury's still out. So this is called Mistborn. I love the name.
Great name.
And now we're going to see if this has any IPA qualities. Is it dry? Is it hop forward?
It's hazy.
It's hazy. So
Hazy,
we're looking on the New England scale.
It's golden.
It's got a lovely creamy head on it.
Lovely head on it, yeah. It's almost meringue for me.
Meringue. So that's probably the lactose.
Yeah.
Sweet, sugary goodness. But I'm getting loads of lactic character. I'm trying to think what fruit it is. I think it's apricot yogurt.
Yeah.
Peach yogurt. Peach yogurt. Peach yogurt. It's peach yogurt. So stone fruity, which is very New England style.
Big time.
Sour, vanilla-y, meringue, sugar sweetness.
So potentially, a lot of those flavours are coming from the hops.
That's potent. Haribo sour, like.
Oh my god! Wow.
Really sweet, really sour, really fruity.
It's like there's like not a lot of bitterness going on. There's not a lot of hop bitterness, Johnny.
No, that is definitely missing.
This is proper sherbet, crazy. My eyes are sort of rolling around the back of my head.
I feel like it's like a yogurt you found at the back of your fridge. There's a lot A lot going on that maybe shouldn't be.
It's still good to eat. I'm sure it's still good.
This will be fine.
Oh, this is
be
a bit.
fun.
Whoa, pokey.
I mean,
I love the sort of the like lemon sherbetiness of that. I think it's amazing. That's not a quality I would associate with an IPA though.
no, I think we're going to learn this as we taste through the other 5 beers. IPA has become a marketing term. So, you know what? Hudson Valley, that's not a IPA. Essentially, it's a kettle sour
Yeah.
with lactose. Maybe a yeast that's creating that kind of apricot character. It doesn't
So
feel
maybe not
any-
coming from the hops. Even.
No, I don't think it's
Right.
hop forward. I don't think it's hop forward.
Yeah.
There must be a term for it in the marketing world of like something that you market more broadly than it should in the hope that you'll... I'm going to call it funnel marketing.
Lying? Lying? I think we need to establish some sort of boundaries here, Johnny. This, your side of the table, definitely IPA.
That's IPA, yeah.
This is maybe middle ground. This is like, no way is that an IPA.
There's no middle ground in this.
Okay.
We're going IPA or not IPA, and this is right there.
Come on.
So this is Spend Your Wishes, red IPA from, I'm going to say it, the best brewery in the UK.
Ooh.
You going to disagree with me?
No, I'm not going to disagree with you. Isn't that a collab? That's
This is a
Elusive
collaboration.
and Burning Sky.
Elusive and Burning Sky.
Right, yeah.
So a red IPA is actually really quite close to the original English IPAs, probably in colour, although, maybe that's a little bit too dark, but these IPAs of the 1800s would have been pale for the day,
Yes.
but pretty amber, really, looking at the malts that they were using and the long boils and everything they'd have been doing and the oxidation that would have happened. So probably a little bit lighter than that. But this is using like Cara malts, crystal malts, I don't know the recipe, but these kind of mid-range brown caramel sweet malts to add more depth to the malt character, to balance out probably some more piney, less juicy pine, resin, grapefruit, citrusy characters and woody characters. Cedarwood, pine, quite a sweet citrus, like a grapefruity aroma.
I'm in a log cabin, Johnny.
Yeah?
And it's hot.
Yeah,
And
well,
there's
composite cabin, mate.
well, I'm saying with this, the walls are made of like rich woods, rich mahogany, and it's full of ripe mangoes and all sorts of stuff.
It's a beautiful beer. There's bitterness. There's a little bit of malt sweetness. It's not as malt forward as I thought it was going to be from the colour, but I think it's got the bitterness.
Yeah,
because hop forward can be it can be aromatic or it can be bitterness.
True.
So that's an IPA, right?
Big time. I think that's an IPA.
Clearly an
It's
IPA.
It's an
Clearly
IPA.
an IPA.
Johnny, I think we need to go Belgian next.
So this is Belgian IPAs have been around for a long old time. It's one of the first sort of innovations.
Subgenres.
Yeah. And I think the issues we're finding here comes from the fact that, every year we do our video, which is what's going to be big this year. And every year, the best thing we could do is say IPA. And I think sometimes brewers get bored or people run out of ideas. And they think, well, if we reinvent IPA, we can keep the sales going while having a bit of fun. And I think that's what the Belgian IPA was. So a Belgian IPA is literally
Thank you.
a West Coast IPA, essentially, with a Belgian yeast. So it could be a Saison yeast or just, a proprietary strain from one of the famous Belgian breweries. So we should get phenolic character, like nail polish, clove, banana, spice, pear, apple skin.
But hopefully it's still hop forward, but it has that phenolic quality.
Exactly. It should be a little tickle, a little, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And with these two breweries who are well known for their balance and indeed for their continental styles, I think if anybody's going to get this right, it's going to be Duration and Burning Sky.
Let's hope so.
Very Saison-y.
It is, isn't it? It's got that kind of earthy sort of quality to it.
Earthy, sweet, like lemon juice kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Like really acidic.
So that's
citrus.
That's not necessarily something you get as a fennel.
No, that's very much hop. Yeah,
Hop.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oodles of bitterness.
It's damn tasty.
Yeah. Really nice, creamy, almost vanilla-y kind of sweetness in the middle. And then big bitterness. Still lingering a little bit for me.
It sort of almost makes me think of Allagash White, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Maybe it's a wit beer rather than a Saison strain. I'm going to say like that is a 9 out of 10 beer. That's a stunning beer. it is an IPA, but it's...
If you blindfolded me, I'd say it was a wit beer.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'm not sure it's an IPA.
See, now I'm regretting putting the middle thing in. Not putting the middle thing. I think that, that's closer to these guys than it is to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, it's hard to define an IPA.
Dude.
Well, I mean, it's dead easy.
Exactly. There you go. There you go.
Video done. So these are actually one of our Patreons. Thank you for your support, Beer Hut. If you want to join our Patreon, from $2 a month, you can join our forum where we're chatting every day. And this is called Climb Into the Clouds.
Great name. Johnny, why is it a triple IPA? What's gone into this to make it that much stronger?
Oh my God, we're back there, aren't we? So, it's not triple the malt.
No.
It's not triple the hops. It's not triple the strength.
No. And you're not doing everything 3 times.
No, I don't think so. What they're trying to say is, so a double IPA goes up to a single IPA, about 6.5, 7. Yeah, 7. Double IPAs from like 8 to 10. Triple IPAs from 10 and above. Speaking of which...
Triple. Cheers.
Triple.
I've gone in.
Oh, right, you need the aroma.
I was kidding.
It's quite fresh. It's very citric. I thought it would be juicier.
Yeah,
it's very
fresh,
citric. Really oily orange. It's a little bit old-fashioned-y.
Yeah, it does have that kind of orange peely quality to it.
Yeah, really boozy orange kind of character.
It's very pleasant, John.
Yeah, kind of barley wine-esque as well. Because it's kind of New England style, there's not a lot of bitterness.
No.
It does feel a bit blonde barley wine-esque.
But is it an IPA? Because is it that kind of like hop... I mean, it's hop forward, but it's not bitter hop forward, is it?
Yeah. No, I think it is because it's New England style.
Mm-hmm. So far, Johnny, amazingly, they are mostly IPAs.
Mostly IPA. It's just the sourness that really confuses and the complete lack of hop character.
Yeah.
Let's go for a rye IPA. Now, I'm fairly certain this is going to land on this side of the board, but it's a nice opportunity to talk about rye, which is one of those malts that, again, when West Coast was popular, was used in quite a lot of recipes and adds a nice nuance to beer.
Yeah.
And now we don't really see it because nobody wants malt character in their beers at the moment. So hopefully it's going to be hop forward, dry, West Coasty, with a kind of tang, bready, rye tang, sourdough kind of tang to it. Spiciness. Oh my God, that takes me right back to about 2014.
That's a rarefied smell right there.
It's because it is hop forward. There's loads of hop character on it, but there is... it's actually Schwarzbrot. Like the dark German breads that I get from rye beer. That, even though I don't think there's any rye in Schwarzbrot, it just has that dark but not roasted bready character. That's what rye gives to beer for me.
Interesting. Quite malty. It's got. I mean, the characteristics are quite malt forward, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Again, and there's lots of rye in that.
Yeah. There's
lots of biscuity character, but lots of bitterness and a kind of a really savoury West Coast.
Yeah.
It's not pine needles, it's pine wood.
Is it hop forward or is it a hop sort of joint on the scales with
I'd say
it's like a balance, right?
Of all of these beers, maybe save for this one, it's the most balanced. You know, it is hop and malt in lovely harmony.
Unison.
Yeah, which is a West Coast approach to brewing. You know, there was always malt character to these beers, and that's kind of been suckered away by the New England vibe.
So it's kind of a retro kick, which I'm quite into that.
Yeah. Many of the beers I thought I'd be cynical about being IPAs and think it was just a marketing term to sell more. They're pretty close to IPAs. They kind of replicate one of these, the West or the New England, pretty well.
Yeah.
This next one might not. So finding black IPAs is tricky at the best of time. Not as tricky as finding Brut IPA, but finding black IPA is tricky. And the only one I could get, and I was searching for a couple of weeks, in local bottle shops, was a black sesame and miso IPA.
My God. Johnny, this is almost like a sort of pastry adjuncty.
Yeah, so I mean pastry IPAs do kind of exist, like Hudson do a lot of them with a lot of fruited sours. They have their breakfast IPAs, which is lactose, oats, and like trying to create like an oat smoothie kind of vibe.
Okay.
So yeah, we're going to try this one. It's a black IPA, which is an IPA which should still be hop forward, and shouldn't have much roast to it. A black IPA should bring similar character to a red IPA, just a little bit burnt toasty.
So
umami.
Meat has like umami sort of vibes, isn't it? That's what the miso's bringing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, kind of almost marmitey kind of character to it.
Meaty.
Yeah, which means not a lot of hop there.
No.
It's malt and meat, which sounds like a great restaurant, but a terrible idea for a beer.
It's not hop forward.
It's not hop forward whatsoever. But black IPAs, I've had lots of great black IPAs that are very hop forward, that are backed up by caramel, burnt caramel, toffee, and kind of burnt toast.
So maybe this isn't a best case example.
It's probably not.
Right.
It's probably not. I wish there were more black IPAs out there.
Which is testament to the fact there aren't very many black IPAs.
Exactly. But it's also helpful because there are pastry IPAs, and I think that as soon as you introduce too much of another character, it's not hop forward, right?
It detracts from the IPA-ness.
So actually the malt body of that was about right. You know, there wasn't a lot of roast, but it felt dark. But the adjuncts there meant that it's not hop forward. So pastry IPA can go over here.
Yes, I agree.
But black IPA...
strongly over there.
Well, so the interesting thing with black IPA is, for me, I wouldn't slap the term IPA on there. I think that's done for sales because dark beer doesn't really sell very well, sadly. Certainly in the volumes that pale beers do. So I think a better phrase for it, because they're very malt forward, really. Once you put like Carafa 3 or lots and lots of Caramalts and Munichs and stuff, once you go beyond where the red IPA is, really that can't be an IPA, it's too malt forward. So Cascadian Dark Ale is probably what I'd want to call them, but I missed the boat. You know, I was only just getting into craft beer back then. I didn't feel like I could call up Oregon and go like, stick with Cascadian Dark Ale, not black IPA.
It brings us back to IPA as a marketing exercise, though, doesn't it? Because, you know, all of these things as a consumer, if you put IPA on it with a twist, then you're kind of guaranteed to be able to sell it.
But it's dangerous because you're going to get lots of people that want something like these two, picking it up and then being like, oh,
yeah,
maybe I don't like IPA after all.
Or just thinking, I don't like that brewery.
Or that brewery, yeah.
They told me I was getting an IPA and that wasn't an IPA.
Yeah. I mean, craft beer is guilty of so many things, but one of them is short-termism. You know, if we call these things IPA, we're going to lose the meaning of what an IPA is.
Yes.
And we're going to lose consumers to go, well, maybe I don't like IPA or that brewery after all.
So to bring it back around to where we started, Johnny, what is an IPA for you?
I think it is where we started. I think it's got to be clearly hop forward. It's got to be relatively dry. You know, that falls foul because it's sour, but also because it's very sweet. Whereas even the New England's, where they finish, is relatively dry in the grand scheme of things. It's got to be clean.
Yeah.
So sourness doesn't really work for me. And it's got to be an ale. You can have IPLs. I will admit that they are, well, I mean, they're IPLs, they're not IPAs. We got that one right, I guess.
IPAs for me are still East Coast or West Coast.
So you think IPA is a gradient of these?
Yeah.
Everyone else is trading off of the good name of IPA.
Exactly. I mean, like, life is not black and white. It's sort of full of grey area. And I think this is grey area, this is black, this is white.
But the consumer needs to know. What do you do with a grey area?
Drink it, because it tastes really good. It tastes really good.
But what do you put on the can?
IPA, because you're going to sell it.
Right, so you're saying these probably aren't IPA, but brewers should still say it is.
Yes. That's my tip.